A lot of men have anger toward their mothers through unresolved issues that they will not express to their mother, but they enact the rage on their wife.
True.
And so mother wounds turn into domestic violence or rage in the house. Do you think that the catalyst of your rage and the trouble in your marriage was a way of venting some of the things you couldn't express as a boy about your mother?
Absolutely. And also, I don't leave my father out as well. You know, grew up in the same city, but wasn't really actively in my life, and very harsh because the way he was raised, you know, they were parented, discipline was the way, but discipline only kept us from getting in trouble in front of you. But we just figured out another way to continue to do what we wanted to do. But most definitely, Bishop, I remember being in the kitchen, and my wife was just conveying that she wanted to spend more time with me. And cause I expressed, man, I wish I had more time to spend with my son. And she simply said, you know, I wish you had that same desire to spend with me. I heard from my wounds that this is something else I'm not doing right. Here we go again. And I started yelling, and I hit the refrigerator and put a dent in the refrigerator. And that's the first time and the last time I saw my wife's spirit decrease in front of me. And I vowed from that day forward that my wife would never feel like that in my presence around a man that she should be able to be transparent with and feel safe with. And in that moment, I realized that, whoa, I have a lot of unresolved anger, as you were just saying. And that's when I left it all on the field. I said, I will never make her ever feel that way ever again. But more importantly, I didn't ever want to express that anger on anyone like that. And so I did the work to resolve it. And thankfully, my father wound and my mother wound are healed. They're still like moments. Yeah. I mean, they exist, you know, like, man, Dad, I like finances. I wish you would have taught me more, but then I don't judge him because he didn't know. He was just taught to work, not invest. And so when I teach young boys, you know, you got to learn how to forgive your parents as well. Everyone has a cause and effect.
Yeah.
And once I realized that, and that's how I'm able to work with boys with such patience, there's a reason for the way this young man acts.
You know, forgiveness is important. It does a lot to settle and resolve some of the conflict we have inside, but it doesn't fill the hole and the void from the things you didn't get. It just stops you from bleeding out about
That's
it.
good.
So you forgave him, but it still does not leave, fix the deficit that you have in your life, wishing you had somebody in front of you to kind of guide you and instruct you a little bit more. Do you find as you get older that boy wound, that childhood wound, that issue that you had to process prematurely? Nobody 3 years old should have to process that kind of stuff. 3 to 10 years old, you had a lot of people to die, a lot of trauma to come into your life. Now you're at an age where it's almost impossible to get that void filled because now they see you as a man, but you go home and lay down with that boy. How do you process? How do you work on him? When I see you working on these other boys, in some way, are you working on that boy in you with them?
Excellent, man. That's excellent. I mean, you hit it right on the head. I often say inside of every grown man is a broken boy. And so they help me heal. You know, they think I teach them, but I'm learning more from them as well. The boy you see crying from a lack of confidence, I go back and heal little Jason in that moment. I tell him exactly what I wish that I had heard. And so in that moment, he not only heals, but I find more healing as well.
Chapter number 3, Releasing the Lion. So you've done everything from produce hip hop to martial arts to some of everything. I mean, you're theologically astute.
Yes, thank you.
Articulate, well-versed, do a lot of research on original languages, and it comes through when you speak, and you seem to be quite knowledgeable about some of everything, earthquakes and everything else. I mean, you got everything mixed up in there. In a short period of time, in a short period of time. How much of that is education, and how much of it is desperation to fill that hole?
That's really good, Bishop. I would say more so desperation and then revelation, like something divinely that came, that God gave me to create, to solve a problem. So yeah, I studied, but yet so much was divinely given, and then you can't forget the experience piece as well.
Right.
You can find someone who studies books, but if they haven't applied any of what they learned to real life and tested it, does it really work? I test everything that I study, my experiences. I want to make sure that these principles align up across generations. And so most definitely it came from a desperation to give misguided, in my community, Black boys, what I longed to have as a young boy myself. And that was a man that they could trust, have an allegiance to, someone who would challenge them but won't condemn them. And so that process took me about 18 years to develop the Cave of Adullam to what it is today, but most definitely came from, I wouldn't say desperation is good because we were in dire need, definitely like in the early 2000s, but I would say a deep desire to help these boys navigate through the pressures of this world without succumbing to their emotions.
I had a guy to interview. I had a guy to interview me at one time, and right in the middle of the interview, he said, "You seem not to know that you're T.D. Jakes." Okay, I got that same feeling sitting here with you. You seem like you don't really know the magnitude of who you have become. On one hand, that reads as humility, but I wonder on the other hand if some of that, for me, it worked out to be detrimental in a way because not seeing who I was made me not protect who I was.
Wow.
Okay, because I was so engrossed with the pain of my past that I didn't guard the power of my present. Okay, so it's hard for me to sit here and see that so definitive and not express it to you and not take this opportunity to say it might be good to kind of do a little research into who you are now and not just reflect on who you were then, but also understanding how you must guard who you are now. Because in other words, if you don't, you end up getting abused all over again. Because you're preoccupied with taking care of that boy and to the detriment of taking care of the brand that you're building, the person you're becoming, the way the world sees you. And I know you see all of you, but we only see the finished product of you. And if you're not careful, the same thing that happened with This Is Us starts happening in every area of your life because you don't know that it's gold. You think it's just paint. And I wonder sometimes, have you ever had anybody tell you that what you have been given is gold?
First, I thank you for sharing that. That's a real, just a struggle I have with truly embracing the lion. Like it feels like I'm in a cage, but the door is open. And God is like, I need that lion to come out. And there's so many other like stories I could share that shape that lion, will make him stay in the cage longer than he should. But you're absolutely right. Like not only knowing who I am, but whose I am, like really, like he'd tell me some days, God would say, you're not acting like my son. It reminds me of the scene from Coming to America when the father came, like, you're living like this, what are you doing? And so I appreciate you sharing that because that's my next evolution is like embracing who he created me to be in its fullness and not fearing being powerful. Do you know what I mean, Bishop? Like, I want to use power to free people. But a lion, you can't free people if you're in your own cave.
Yeah.
And so I know, I feel the power. I feel his anointing. And it's similar to like with David when he ran into his cave, even though we know he was running from Saul. But remember, he was going to be the second king ever. And the first one failed horribly. So just the pressure behind that alone, and then to know like I'm entrusted with something, and I have to have that lion fully released.